In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the tarot and oracle decks that are new in my collection. So if you're interested to see these new decks to me that I've been working with, get yourself a nice hot drink, settle back, relax and enjoy. So I will just say that whilst I am not on a specific depth year this year, in a sense that you might sort of recognise it, I have been trying to be a lot more mindful about my purchases. However, I have purchased some secondhand decks from eBay, which has been really nice because they were decks that I've wanted for a while, and then I was able to get them secondhand, and that was really, really good. Also, I will say that potentially I might forget a couple because it's been such a long time, so if I do, then maybe I'll just add that in another time, or you'll see it on a deck collection at some point, you know, it's not a big deal. And I will try and go in some kind of order, but no doubt it won't really work like that. So it will just go in the order that it has to go in. So first up is a deck that my husband gifted me for Christmas. It is the Villains Tarot deck, and this was really fun. Surprisingly, I did a few readings with this and it was really scarily accurate. So the last reading I did, I think I got the Queen of Swords and the Nine of Wands. Very interesting. So they both have villains on them, obviously. So the whole deck is villains. I would really like a Disney princess deck because I'm obsessed with Disney princesses. You know, like, I think the villains are hilarious as well. Like, I think my favorite villain is Hades because he's so funny. From Hercules, he's just hilarious. But yeah, so you've got Scar, Captain Hook, Scar again. Let's see who else we got. Maleficent, Car, the Snake. Some of the cards are pips. This is from Peter Pan, I can't remember his name. It escapes me. Smee. Another pippish card. There were some in here that I did not recognise. There's the Wicked Witch from Snow White. She's in a few of these actually. She's so beautiful. So the illustrations are stunning. They are Ellie Goldwine has illustrated these. So this, I do not know who this villain is. So I'm sure that there are some movies that I just haven't seen. I can't think what this is from. I thought maybe it was from The Princess and the Frog, but I don't think it is. So yeah, there are some villains I'm not entirely sure on. Robin Hood. So it's fun, and yeah, scarily accurate reading actually. It's a really, really nice cardstock, very like high quality, very, very beautiful. Again, just one of those novelty decks, really, really nice. So my husband and I are obsessed with The Office, the US one, because we've always watched the British one, and we thought we'd give the US one a go. And then I saw that there's a Office tarot deck coming out, and I thought that was just so funny. And obviously there's a Friends one. You know, I'd love there to be a Sex and the City one, actually. That would be so fun. And yeah, I would love to get a Disney Princesses one. I would quite like to get my hands on the Alice in Wonderland one as well, because Alice in Wonderland was one of my favourite Disney films when I was little, as well as the actual book, of course. But yeah, moving on. Another deck that ended up in my collection not that long ago, so we're not going in order, is this, which came from the Total Tarot magazine. And this was a couple of issues, I think it was issues 2 and 3, that formed the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot. And this, essentially, apart from the box, Simon from the Hermit's Cave did a few videos about this, and Hazel Jane Tarot has also done a few videos about this, and the magazine. Really, really comprehensive if you're interested to see more about the magazine. But what's lovely about this is that you basically get the Radiant Wise Spirit that's now out of print. Simon explains it so much better than I can, but what they basically did was keep the name the same, but they changed the print. So instead there were no borders and everything was just kind of a little bit too zoomed up. But this is a lovely version because the colouring is really, really beautiful. I actually do have a copy of the Radiant Wise Spirit Mini, and this is pretty much identical to that. I would say the lines are still really, really thick, but this is a really, really nice deck to use, I think, for travelling, because it's got the handy bag, and you know, I don't feel precious about it, do you know what I mean, because it was a freebie from a magazine. Whereas like my Centennial I love, even though the Centennial isn't out of print or anything, but I love the Centennial. The one thing I was a little bit like disappointed about is this isn't Pixie's font. I don't know why I thought that it was, but it's not Pixie's font. I think this is perfect to take with you to read for friends and such, and I love the backs, it's really, really pretty. So just a lovely, lovely deck to get with a magazine, and the magazine's carrying on, and I think that they've done some other decks and stuff. I haven't purchased it, although I am going to town in a little bit, so I might go into the local bookshop and see if they've got any current ones, because it's kind of a little bit exciting, you know. I would never ever collect a whole lot, but if there's a deck that kind of calls to me that maybe I might get anyway, then I think it could be worth it. But this one was definitely worth it because this particular version of the deck isn't really available anymore. And Simon, as I said, described it so much better than me, so you can just watch his videos about it. A deck that I've wanted for a really, really long time that I had to end up getting for myself is the Mysteries of the Black Madonna Tarot by Hetty Grubler. And I had it on my list. Been working a lot with the energy of Mother Mary, and then I had a very, very powerful visitation, a very, very powerful experience on the astral with the goddess between Christmas and New Year, so it's like the Christmas holidays. It was such a powerful, intense experience, and I woke up with like chills, and it was just so, so, so powerful, and I knew I needed this deck because this was the imagery that kind of spoke to me. There was this very, very powerful, radiant goddess, deity, bathed in this like golden light with this magnificent crown, and there were roses all around her, and this just sung to me. The book is absolutely spectacular. The wisdom and the guidance that this deck has offered me in times of distress and crisis already this year has been so, so powerful, so, so profound. This is going to be a soul deck for me for years and years and years and years to come, and I haven't even scratched the surface of how much I want to work with this deck, and I haven't read the book cover to cover. I've only read the specific pages that pertain, but it is such a beautiful deck. Obviously a labour of love, and you know, I would like to get the Mysteries of Mary as well one day, like if it's still available. I know that some of them are going out of print, but yeah, Hetty's work is just absolutely stunning. And with the deck you do get a little prayer card, and you also get a little tiny resin Black Madonna, which is beautiful. I have that in one of my altars in the other room. So this is a beautiful, beautiful deck for working with the energy of Mother Mary and of the Black Madonna, the healing sort of powers and energy of that deity that, yeah, I clearly need with me right now, and yeah, that I feel with me. So next up is a prototype deck that I was gifted to create a review for, and it's the Eros Tarot, and I'm not going to show you any of the pictures because it is an erotic tarot, but there is a video dedicated to it that is not monetized where you can see everything that is hidden behind. But it's a beautiful sex positive erotic deck that is LGBTQI plus friendly and inclusive and diverse and beautiful. The art is stunning, so incredible, so I would urge you to go watch that video where there are links, etc. But this was just such a lovely thing to be offered because I love supporting artists in the community, and whilst this is a prototype deck, the cardstock is really, really slim, and the creator did advise me that it would be thicker for the final product, but I actually really like this cardstock. I think it works really, really beautifully, so I love this, and I'm very, very grateful that I was able to review it on my channel. Next up is soul cards, which I may or may not have already shared on my channel. I can't quite remember. If I did, then I apologise, but here it is again. Who doesn't love soul cards? So this has been a deck that I've been working with quite a lot. I think I did share this towards the end of last year, but yeah, just such an intuitive deck, and it's so incredible how much the images like mirror whatever tarot deck you're working with, and I do like to use it with a tarot deck. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I just use it on its own, but I think it's nice to have sort of contextual information. Sometimes it's nice to pull this first and then a tarot deck for clarification, or vice versa. It's such a beautiful deck. I'd like to get the second one, of course, as well. It's just an ongoing. This is on my altar space in my bedroom because I do shuffle with this every few days or so, pull a card. So yeah, really, really beautiful, beautiful deck, soul cards. In a video not that long ago, I received the Tuatha De Danann tarot deck. I think it was when I did a walkthrough of my tarot decks actually, and I said I wanted to do a review. There were quite a few little nitpicks about the deck, and Kasha from Tarot Map and I were having some conversations about it. Kasha's obviously made a couple of videos talking about it already, and I'm grateful for that because Kasha's very, very eloquent and expresses herself really, really beautifully when it comes to this. But there were a few little things. I think that the art is fantastic, but I think that the execution of the deck creation wasn't quite so spot on. However, Arlene White Swan, the creator, has been so, so fantastic with getting things changed and such. I haven't reached out to Arlene myself, although I hope Kasha doesn't mind me saying that because she shared this in her videos as well, but Kasha did reach out and Arlene was very helpful. And the art is absolutely splendid. I have shared some of these images on my Instagram. I plan to make some more reels and use the imagery more. There is very much like an Arthurian legend feel to it, as well as like Tuatha De Danann. The one thing I don't have is the book that goes with, and that's something I want to get. I think I'd be able to get that quite easily on Amazon actually, so that's something I do need to do. But one thing that bothered me about it was that some of the images, this is like the deluxe version, some of the images have been blown up and they are a little bit pixelated. So potentially, if you haven't got this deck but you like the art, maybe just go for the standard edition rather than the deluxe, and I think it's make playing cards. The art is absolutely spectacular. I love it, and you know, the readings have been like spine tingling, you know, goosebumps, that kind of thing, you know, real powerful readings. It doesn't beat around the bush. It's a great deck. I will stand by it, but I can't even say that I will know everything that I would need to know about this deck until I read the guidebook. So that's something I really do need to invest in. There was one thing that Kasha brought my attention to that I didn't even notice, and that's on one of the cards. There is some overlay of text, which I believe Eileen has fixed now because Kasha did communicate that. But yeah, being able to chat with Kasha about that has been lovely. And yeah, I do think Eileen White Swan did a fantastic job with the art. Absolutely spectacular. I can't fault it really, other than just some of the production value is not quite there. But I think it's a learning curve, you know, and I think that the creator has done such a great job with the art, and I would highly recommend it if it's your bag. And these things that I've mentioned and that, you know, Kasha goes into greater depth about, if you want to see those videos, I'll try and remember to link all the videos I'm talking about below. If you want to go and see Kasha's video where she talks more in depth about it, that will give you a better idea. But if any of those things, those nitpicky things kind of would bother you, then don't bother. But if you love the art and you're not that bothered about it and you want to experience working with this, I would highly recommend it. So yeah, to the Dan and Tarot. Next up is the Guy and Tarot. This is a deck I've wanted to work with for so long. I took the plunge. I didn't really feel that I had the budget to invest in the original version or the independent version without the blue border, so I did go for the Llewellyn. Is it the Llewellyn? So I did go for the Schiffer copy. I think the original publication was the Llewellyn one, and that doesn't have the blue borders. It is a huge deck, and I believe Dawn Michelle did a mod with me video, because I don't think Dawn Michelle particularly appreciates these metallic kind of gilded edges anyway, and so Dawn Michelle did her famous modding really beautifully, I will say, and the deck did turn out fantastically. If Dawn Michelle was actually in the UK, I'd probably ask her to do mine for me, pay her to do this job for me so that I could have a deck like that as well, because also my hands aren't that big and it is quite hard to work with, and I'll be honest, I've only worked with it once, I believe, since I shuffled it up and shared it. It is such a beautiful deck and a timeless classic as well. I just felt it was something that my collection needed, and I would like to actually do a little bit of a study with it and work in depth with it. When I do deck studies, I don't tend to create specific journals for them or anything. I just work with the deck for a while, get a feel for it, read the guidebook and create a relationship. That's kind of my idea of a deck study, other than, we'll get to the Spirit Keeper's Tarot because that's a whole other thing. But yeah, that's kind of an exception. But yeah, this artwork is just beautiful. Joanna Pearl Colbert, the art is spectacular. Obviously also the artist for the Herbcrafter's Tarot, which is one of my favourite decks ever. As someone who's interested in herbs and herbcraft, using herbs and spells, etc., it is literally one of my favourite decks to use. So I knew I needed this and I picked it up, and I'm very much looking forward to working with it, and I feel like it will definitely work. It will just sing in summer, and now we're obviously approaching that time. I think it's just going to work really beautifully. So that is the Gaian Tarot. Next up is the Blood Moon Tarot, which I won't labour over for too long because there is a dedicated video, and I was also on Lisa Papez's channel doing Say Yes to the Deck with Peggy, and it was so fun. Like, I laughed so much and my face hurt after we'd finished filming because I'd been laughing my head off. They are just so lovely and it was just such an enjoyable experience, and they helped me to say yes to this beautiful deck. So these are the backs, and the art is absolutely spectacular, and again, this deck does not pull any punches. It really gets to the heart of the matter. It's quite severe. I can't really verbalise much more than that. Like with certain decks like the Murder of Crows Tarot, I can verbalise it a lot more, or even the Marielle, I can verbalise it in a way that will make sense a bit more, but because I haven't really worked with this all that much, I've used it maybe for a handful of readings. I still don't feel that I know enough about this deck to really speak to how I feel that kind of is characterised through the deck, but it is like sour and spiky, do you know what I mean? It sort of, it grabs hold of you, and it, you know, like these images, like they sing to you, and they're like mellifluous and almost like, you know, sea creatures or the fae or something. They kind of like enchant you and seduce you and maybe lure you into a false sense of security, and then like bam, they give you the truth that you are so scared to face. So yeah, it is a truth teller of a deck. Quite harsh, but quite how harsh, I'm not so sure. So we shall see as my relationship with this deck develops. Next up is the Archeo. This is the personal archetype cards by Nick Bantock, the creator of Griffin and Sabine, which I believe is like a series of books. This came with the Witches box. I think it was the February box, and this is a stunning deck. And again, when I use this for some archetypal work, Oh my goodness, it was powerful. And the book is lovely because it goes into the attributes, the persona. It also goes into the tales of each, and it also discusses the shadow of some of these archetypes as well. And the art is so beautiful. It's very surrealist, you know, it's got that sort of Salvador Dali feel to it, but the art again is just very, very beautiful. And you know, I think that this again is a really, really powerful, hard-hitting deck to use for, to use for shadow work if you are engaging in shadow work. I actually did get this, which is the Hypocrite, and that was a tough one to get. So you do get some spare cards as well if you want to create your own. So for this, as it's sort of a shiny cardstock, I don't think you'd be able to really draw much on there, but you could use collage and create that way, or you could create a digital card, print it off and stick it on and then like laminate it or something. So there are options there to create your own archetypes as well. And there is like a system to work with them, which, you know, is really powerful. And yeah, it's just a lovely, lovely deck if you're interested in exploring archetypes. Next up is the Celtic Tarot, and this is the Courtney Davis and Helena Patterson one. And this is an old one. You can see it's in one of those like almost cassette boxes that you used to get from the library. I don't know if you ever got audiobooks on cassette, or like those old video VHS cases. Anyway, so this was from eBay. This was an eBay purchase. And you got the book here. When was this printed? This is Aquarian Press, first published in 1990. It says 1990 and then 1990 again. So I believe this is an original, although I may be wrong. It says here book club shop $10.99, so it's probably pretty old. So but this deck I wasn't sure about actually, and I think I took a gamble and made an offer, and then it was accepted, and I was like, oops, actually I'm not sure. I'm not actually sure if I want it. Like, it's just another deck that, oh, should I have? So I did think maybe I shouldn't have gone for it, but when I got it out and started looking at the illustrations, I found them really, really beautiful. There's something sort of almost Linnea Witherstone about it. They feel very archetypal and beautiful. This kind of stained glass window sort of effect. It feels like a storyteller of a deck, do you know what I mean? But it is pippish, so there are pips. Again, this is another pip deck that I don't really know enough about working with pips. I feel like this is an area that I need to strengthen. Thinking about taking one of the courses from Tom Benjamin to do this, because yeah, Marseille is not something I've really delved into at all, and so pips are kind of foreign to me. So you can see the style is beautiful. These are the backs, they're stunning. I am really, really glad I've got it, and of course it is an older copy, so it's something that is really, really nice to have. And when I do manage to do some learning about pips, then I think that I'll be able to work with it a lot more efficiently and enjoy it more, and that's what I'm excited for. So this is like an ever-evolving journey. Sorry, the cat is like nuzzling the bottom of the camera tripod. You know, she's been doing this for years, and I used to like have to stop and pause and take her away and then edit out the wobbly camera footage, but you know, I just can't be bothered. So wobbly camera it is with the cat. And now I have to pause because I have a few jobs to do right now with the children, but I will be back momentarily for you and continue to discuss the decks that are new in my collection. So I'm back. It's a little bit later, so the light has probably changed and I'm a little bit chilly, so I've got a cardigan on, but I'm going to carry on with showing you some of these decks. So next up is the Hanson Roberts Tarot, and this is actually really tiny. I picked this up from eBay. It was pre-loved but not really very well used at all. It's US Game System publication, and we'll just check what the date on it I can see. Can't see the date. There's an ISBN number. Oh, here we go, 1984. So this was a 1984, unless that means it was first published in 1984. This looks like a fairly new printing. This is printed in Italy, and Hanson Roberts Tarot deck, obviously illustrated by Mary Hanson Roberts. So I've really liked this deck for a really long time, and it's been on my list, but it's just taken me this much time to pick it up. And again, picked it up pre-loved, which I really like. The back's beautiful, and of course these really Rider-Waite inspired, I guess it's a clone deck, but slightly different depictions, and the illustrations are beautiful. This like lovely colour pencil. Pick out some nice ones. So this is the Nine of Pentacles, which is beautiful. Ten of Cups. The Star, which is very, very lovely. So it's just a really, really beautiful deck that I've wanted to work with, and I've enjoyed using it for a couple of readings. Again, I've not used it all that much because there's quite a few decks here, and I don't feel like I've really gotten deep with any of these decks yet. I've obviously had some profound experiences with a few of them, but yeah, I still need to get to know this deck a lot more. So it's quite a nice size though, so quite handy for travel, and yeah, beautiful art. So love this one. Next up is the Magdalene Oracle. This again was an eBay find, and this was about £5 I think, which is really great. Again, I've wanted this one for so long, and actually I've used this one quite a lot. I find that it works really, really well in all kinds of readings really, and with a lot of different tarot decks as well. The imagery is so, so beautiful. It's illustrated by Tony Carmine Salerno. The cat is down by the bottom as well, so it might shake a little bit. The images are beautiful, and the messages are very well rounded. I feel like it's quite gentle, but it's not like all of the cards have keywords that are really, really positive. I've got cards like this, which is like Sophia, so like the Sophia codes, which I don't know all that much about, but then you have things like purgatory here, so it's not all like rainbows. The book actually has some really, really lovely information as well, and it's not very big at all, so it's very easy to like read a message. It has like a sort of passage at the bottom that's sort of poetic, and then like more about like the meaning of it if you pull the card. And it's just been really, really nice to pull a card before bed, or like if I've got a specific question. Really nice in like love readings as well. So yeah, I've really, really enjoyed using this deck for self-love and for healing and similar kinds of readings. I really enjoyed this deck. Next up is the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot, and I really, really loved the look of this one. It was on Kickstarter, I just couldn't back it at the time. And so when I saw that it was a mass market, I had to pick it up. And I just love the imagery, oh my goodness. First of all, I love goddess decks. Sometimes they can be a little bit limiting maybe, but I think this one's quite expansive, and the way it reads is lovely as well. I think that it's really, really poignant. It definitely brought some messages in terms of like the way that the figures are depicted and like their movement in certain ways. I think some of the cards are just spectacular. The Nine of Wands. I was quite surprised about this. There's not actually any goddesses that are specific that are depicted in this deck. These are just all goddess figures, so divine feminine figures. There's nothing specific. So you might find like this is just a warrior goddess archetype. So they are all meant to be kind of just archetypal rather than specific goddesses or deities, but you could definitely see some deities in them. Like for instance, this is the moon, and so you could like divine into that, like Selene. But yeah, like you have this card here, which is the witch, and I believe this is the magician. Yes. So some of the cards are changed as well. And it's just, yeah, a really, really beautiful deck. And I haven't read the guidebook yet, but I'm very keen to read the guidebook. And it's Lindsay Silverman. I think it's probably got quite a specific voice to it that I need to get to know. Again, I want to get to know this and sort of deep dive with it a little bit and play with it, connect to it. But I really, really enjoy it. I love the way it looks, and I love the way it reads. So far, it's been a really, really lovely deck. So next up, another Divine Feminine Wisdom deck, and it is the Ancient Feminine Wisdom of Goddesses and Heroines, and this is a deck I've wanted for years as well. It's art by Kay Steventon and Brian Clark. I think I've got a couple of decks illustrated by Kay Steventon. I think Celestial Tarot and another one, and I really love the artwork. It's just stunning. And again, it works really, really well with the Intuitive Night Goddess actually. Here are the backs. They are really beautiful, and then you get these gorgeous deities, and they are mostly Greco-Roman, I believe. But you get a lovely keyword and the image, which is so beautiful. And I found again that the cards I've pulled have really like spoken to whatever it was I was kind of asking about, or like it had a very specific message in answer to like what I was asking about, what I was, you know, questioning. I love this one. It's Hestia of the Hearth. So, and these would work really, really well as altar cards as well if there's like any deities that you particularly work with. So there's Psyche, Athena, Helen, Circe, Themis, Pandora. Of course, it's not just goddesses. So Medea, Eris, Antigone, Demeter. So some deities, Nike, Hecate, Medusa, Eos, Nemesis. Nemesis, I believe, is one of the daughters of Nyx, the night goddess, one of the 9 daughters of Nyx, I believe. So yeah, really, really interesting. Again, it'd be really, really good to crack into this. Oh, Ariadne, Psyche, Pandora. Yeah, it'd be really, really good to, I think, dive into this. And it's just beautiful. I really, really like this deck. I'm so glad that I've picked it up and it's in my collection, and I'm just enjoying picking it up and working with it with a number of different decks and exploring with it at the moment, like deck pairings and such. So that is the Ancient Feminine Wisdom. Next up is the Spirit Keepers Tarot, and I ordered this last year in the pre-orders, and it comes with this little white book. I then picked up the bigger book that goes with, and I also picked up the journal that goes with as well, and those were from Lulu. They're much more expansive. I also joined a group with Hazel Jane Tarot and a few other people to discuss the deck and work with the deck, and we kind of did find that, I think we all found that with the book and the study it was very, very complex. So I haven't, because I've started my astrology course, I haven't had all that much time to delve deeply into the study, which is what I would like to do, and that is my sort of long-term goal with this deck. Like, for years I will continue to work with it and keep working with the symbolism within the card. But Liz from West Star Tarot, I hope she doesn't mind me talking about this, but I think she did speak to this in one of her videos as well, but like, she found that working intuitively was really, really beneficial for her with this deck. So I think that's basically how I feel as well at the moment. But I, you know, I've got the journal for exploration and I've got the book, and so it's definitely something that I do want to continue. But as you know, if you spent any time on this channel, you know I've always got a lot of things I want to study, a lot of things that I want to work on. My astrology course is a year-long course to become a professional astrologer, and so that is really taking up a lot of my time, other than the time obviously that I'm working or that I'm with the kids or that, you know, creating content or whatever, or just, you know, living my life and cleaning and running around like a mad person. So yeah, like, having extra time to study is limited, but I still really, really find so much value in this. I'm so glad I've got it, because I really, really wished I hadn't missed out on the other editions. I'm really glad that I've got this one. And I do have the majors only of the original that Belle put on her website, and then I downloaded it and had it printed with Print Studio or something. And so I do have that as a basic, but it's really nice just to have this deck as well and be able to like refer to it. It's lovely for like a week ahead spread, I think. Not too many cards, because there is so much symbolism within each card, and I quite like to understand all the symbolism, but I do find it that the messages are quite literal sometimes, and they do speak volumes. So it's a beautiful, beautiful deck, and undoubtedly Benabel Wen is absolutely a genius, really an incredible person in our time, occult teacher, full of knowledge and wisdom, and absolutely love this. So glad to have it, and we'll keep working with it, we'll keep studying with it. It's a long-term process for me. Next up is the teeny mini version of the Roots and Wings Oracle deck. I did want the full size, but when I wanted to order it, and for a while before I actually did order it, it wasn't there, but I've looked since and it does seem to have the full size version, so maybe one day I'll get the full size version as well. But I do love this. It is so lovely. I've wanted this for years, to be honest, but I've just never taken the plunge because it's an independent deck, it's quite expensive, and it was just another thing that I couldn't afford in the budget. And so when I did have an opportunity, I decided to go for this. I find that the keywords are lovely. They're really expansive and make for like a really nice intuitive reading, and work really well with a lot of my decks that have, you know, green themes like herbcraft, etc., and animals. I don't have bears near me or anything, so obviously some of it is not really applicable, but like, I mean, there's so much that comes out of these cards, and they do give you answers. I think you could use this deck on its own really, really beautifully, but I do tend to use it with the tarot, and yeah, it has some beautiful messages, and I'm really, really glad that I have it because it is stunning. And yeah, this is like one of my favourite cards. Absolutely beautiful. So yeah, I would like the full size deck actually. I'm a little bit disappointed that I missed out on that somehow, but yeah, oh, gorgeous. Look at that. So yeah, and obviously the archetypes do work up quite well alongside the tarot as well. Like, we've got different words that go with them, but you can see some of the symbolism crossing over from the tarot into this, as with a lot of oracle decks, you know. Next up is the Angel Blessing cards. This is Kimberly Maroney, and this is a deck again I've had on my list for a really long time, and I picked this up again from eBay. It was a really good price I got for it, and this is the book. This has been taken care of, I think, really well. Just thinking when this was printed, this one, 1995 this was printed, so it's quite an old one, but the cards are in really, really good condition. So these are the backs. The Angel Blessing cards, I think what I hoped was that the Angel Oracle by Amber Waters was this, or I think maybe at some point I got them confused, and because the Angel Oracle I do enjoy, but there are a couple of cards. There's one card that looks like Kirstie Alley, and I cannot unsee that. Just like, you know, some people can't unsee John Travolta in the Nine of Cups. It's kind of a problem for some people. So this one, the art just works so much better for me. This kind of like pre-Raphaelite, I don't know if it really is, but it looks sort of pre-Raphaelite art. I think it's all art taken from larger portraits, and then you have the archangels, guardian angel. Some of them are just very broad, like guardian angel, and then there was Gabriel, of course. Kayla Ray, I don't I think I've heard of this angel or archangel. This is peace. So there are keywords as well, which is really, really beautiful. Relationship, and I think this deck works really, really well for relationship and love readings actually. A lot of the imagery is very, very romantic, like romanticism, impressionist, really, really beautiful, and I think that the messages within the deck as well really, really work very well for love readings. And let me just get that book out. So there's cards of sacred guidance and inspiration. So there are different ways that you can use this deck. Angel of the day, and you shuffle the cards. Love and relationship spreads. Angel hierarchy, so there are greater angels, lesser angels, first order heart angels, second order manifesting angels, third order inner angels, seraphim and cherubim, fourth order mother's angels. So there is like an order to it, and I'm not sure how much of that comes from the occult teachings. I'm not completely au fait with more occult teachings in terms of angel magic. I've delved a little bit into it. It looks like this is coming from more of a Christian perspective. Christ in You, the Holy Bible, Book of Angels, Deepak Chopra, Quantum Healing, Dictionary of Angels. Let's see if there's any like occult texts. I think it seems like this is angels from a Christian perspective, but obviously we are using the messages here. So rather than the tradition of angel magic via Enochian magic or via Aleister Crowley's teachings and the Rose Cross Kabbalistic Golden Dawn teachings, the HGA and such, I am not really au fait with those kinds of topics. I really do like Damien Eccles' work though, and I know he has a book on angels and archangels, so if you wanted to go down that route, that could be something. But I think this is more from like a modern Christian perspective. But yeah, I haven't read it, so it would be interesting to do that. It does talk about guardian angels, but I think it's sort of a different system of magic, different system of spiritual knowledge and understanding and wisdom. So yeah, I do not know enough about angel magic and the different kind of types of angel magic to really speak to this, but I just know that I really like the messages, I really like the imagery. It's something I'd like to explore, and definitely this deck I really have enjoyed working with so far, and I'd like to do much more of it. So I have saved the best for last, and it is the most incredible deck. I have just been waiting for this deck for like, I don't know, like a year now. I don't know when it was that I made my pre-order, but it was as soon as it was available for pre-order, and it is the Victorian Romantic Tarot by Barber Studios, and this edition, I think it's the 4th edition, I may be wrong, comes in this beautiful wooden box, and I shared this pretty much as soon as I got it on Instagram. This deck is just, oh, and I got the book as well. That came separately. It's not actually in here, it's in the other room, but it's a beautiful, beautiful book. And it just sort of adds on to the little white book that is here by Karen Mahoney. And this art, oh my goodness, and the cold full stamping, the amount of, I don't know if you can catch that, how beautiful this is just, I have no words really. The truth is, when it arrived I think a bit earlier than other people. I had mine several weeks before I started seeing people upload their videos, and I think it's because I'm in the UK and they're in Ireland. So I got mine quite early, which I was so thrilled about. But basically when I opened it, I just wept because I was like so in awe of the art and the cards, and yeah, it was just divine. And I believe that these are redrawn from other art pieces, but I'm not entirely sure. I mean, so far I've worked with this deck quite a lot. I've been doing self-love readings and romantic readings, and I found it to be really a very, very beautiful and moving deck, and it definitely speaks the truth. But it is gentle and it's very, very, very beautiful. I just can't say much more other than like I've already made a really deep connection with this deck that I don't see ever dissipating. I knew for a long time I wanted this deck. I love the backs. The backs are just like absolutely divine. So I knew for a really long time I wanted this deck, and I was gutted that it was out of print, so I'm so glad it is back and I've got it in my hands. And as I say, I've been working with this deck such a lot since it arrived because I just couldn't not, like, how could you not? The only thing is I do like gilding, which it doesn't have, but I am way too precious about this deck to gild it myself, and I don't really do that anymore. I used to do that quite a lot. I don't really do it anymore. I think I just don't really have the time anymore. The other thing is it does come with extra cards for the Emperor, the Lovers, the Devil, so you can choose. between different cards. But there are some walkthroughs online. I know that Lisa Peppers has one, and I'm sure that there are others as well. So if you want to see more, I may or may not do a walkthrough, but I don't really see why I would need to if other people have done it really well already. So it's such a beautiful deck. I'm thrilled to have it. I absolutely love it. I have it out in my altar space and I work with it a lot. So yeah, this is definitely my favourite so far. My precious. That brings me to the end of decks that are new in my collection as of like the last 6 months, and I appreciate it's quite a lot. So for me to say that I've been like trying not to buy decks is quite rich really, but I have been very mindful about the way I've been buying, and you know, there've been a lot of decks that are come out mass market, etc., and there's still decks like Shimmering Veil that I really want that is an independent deck, but I've not, you know, I've not just run out and bought it. You know, I'm taking my time, and there are still decks I will accumulate, there are still decks that I will get, and eventually I probably will start thinking about moving out some decks that I'm not using or that don't resonate anymore. But yeah, for now, I'm really happy with these decks, and I'm happy with my collection. You know, I am happy with where I'm at in my practice, and I hope that that was interesting for you to see. If you enjoyed the video, then please do give it a like and click the thumbs up button and share it with anyone who you think would also enjoy it. Also, if you would like to support me, I have a Instagram page, a TikTok. You can go over and see what I'm doing there. I'm more active on Instagram, to be honest. I also have a Buy Me a Coffee page if you would like to go over and donate a couple of pounds for a coffee for me. That would be so nice. And also, if you have been watching my channel and not yet subscribed, then please do think about subscribing, and while you're subscribing, don't forget to hit that little bell notification, because that's the YouTube. It's going to let you know when I create and upload videos like this, all about tarot, witchcraft, magic, occult, spirituality, all those kinds of lovely topics I love to talk about. So if you made it to the end of the video, please do leave me a rose emoji in the comments box below. With all that said, thank you again so much for joining me. I hope you stay well and safe. Look after yourselves, and I look forward to seeing you again really soon. Many blessings. Mwah!